It's the summer of 1665, and London is dying fast. 7,000 people are buried in a single week. The dead come faster than the living can dig. So the city tears open enormous communal pits. Bodies are stacked layer upon layer in the dark soil. Thousands of them, pressed together without coffins. This is the Great Plague, and it spares no one. The sickness arrives quietly in the spring. It begins quietly in the cramped, filthy parish of St. Giles. A few poor families fall ill in the crowded slums. Then the dying spreads relentlessly from street to street. The plague swells the lymph nodes into black lumps. These swollen buboes give the disease its terrible name. Victims burn with fever and vomit black bile. Most are dead within just 3 or 4 days. The fleas of black rats carry the contagion. Rats swarm the granaries, the docks, the cellars. Nobody yet understands that the rats are truly to blame. They blame the foul air, the cats, the dogs, the stars. In their panic, the city orders 40,000 dogs slaughtered. It only frees the hungry rats to breed completely unchecked. When a household is infected, its door is sealed. A red cross is painted across the locked door. Below it are scrawled the words, "Lord, have mercy." A watchman stands armed at the door so none may escape. Whole families are trapped inside with the sick and dying. The healthy are shut in with the dead for days. Through the silent, fearful streets walk the masked plague doctors. They wear long, beaked masks stuffed with herbs. They believe sweet scents can hold off the foul air. Their heavy robes are stiff waxed leather from head to foot. They carry a cane to examine without touching. Almost nothing the desperate doctors try actually saves anyone. Each night the dead carts roll through the dark. A driver rings a bell and calls his grim summons. "Bring out your dead," he cries out to the houses. Families drag their dead into the open street. Limp bodies are flung carelessly onto the swaying wooden cart. Arms and legs hang loose over the wooden sides. The overloaded cart creaks slowly toward the edge of the city. There, the great burial pits wait open and hungry. The most infamous lies at Aldgate to the east. Exhausted diggers carve a single trench 40 feet long. It plunges a full 20 feet down into the heavy clay. Layer after layer of bodies slowly fills the deep chasm. Over 1,000 corpses go down into this single pit. The diarist Samuel Pepys records the horror. He writes of human bodies left rotting in the open lanes. Grass grows tall and wild in the silent, empty markets. The king and his court flee the doomed city. The rich escape to their estates in the country. The poor are left behind to sicken and die in the alleys. All trade halts and the busy harbor falls deathly still. Wild grass creeps over the unused cobbled city roads. By the cold of autumn, the death toll climbs ever higher. The weekly bills of mortality list the dead. In one terrible week alone, over 8,000 people perish. The churchyards overflow far beyond their walls. So the parishes open pit after pit after pit. Some pits are dug in open fields, some in old gardens. Quicklime is poured over the layered corpses. The burning lime is meant to speed the bodies into dust. Then only a thin skin of earth is shoveled across. And the next night, the pit is opened again. The grave diggers themselves sicken and collapse into the pits. Some are buried in the very pits they made. Then, at last, comes the cold, and the dying finally slows. Winter kills the fleas that carried the plague. By the start of 1666, the worst of the horror is past. Nearly 100,000 Londoners are dead. Almost a quarter of the city lies in the pits. Then, the Great Fire suddenly sweeps the plague-ruined city. Flames cleanse the plague-ridden streets in days. The pits are covered over and slowly forgotten. New streets and houses rise above the dead. For centuries, the bones lie silent underground. The living walk and work above them without a single thought. Then the diggers of a new age break the ground. In 2013, a great rail tunnel is bored beneath London. The Crossrail project carves deep through the clay. At Charterhouse Square, the boring machines suddenly stop cold. The blades have struck a forgotten plague pit. 25 complete skeletons lie neatly side by side. They rest in careful, deliberate rows, their heads pointing west. Careful archaeologists kneel in the trench with soft brushes. They lift each fragile bone from the cold clay. These forgotten dead have waited silently here for centuries. The bones are gently carried to the laboratory. Scientists drill into the teeth for ancient DNA. Inside the ancient teeth, they find the killer itself. It is Yersinia pestis itself, the plague bacterium. The very microbe that emptied the city is found. The bones tell of lives that were brutally hard. Many show the marks of starvation and labor. Their spines are bent and curved from years of heavy work. The children's small bones reveal years of cruel hunger. Rotten teeth and rickets scar the very youngest dead. These were the poor of a crowded, hungry city. They died unknown and were buried together in frantic haste. Now their silent bones speak to us across 3 centuries. Every new dig in London uncovers more of them. Beneath the financial district lie thousands more. One pit near Liverpool Street held countless dead. Construction crews find them again and again. Old bones surface beneath car parks and children's playgrounds. They surface beneath churches and busy roads. Some pits hold the dead bodies in tangled chaos. Others lay them out with surprising care. Even at the bitter end, some hands still showed quiet respect. The Black Death pits run far older and deeper. Back in 1348, the very first Great Plague had struck. That earlier horror killed nearly half of all England. London opened its very first mass graves back then. Those pits, too, still lie beneath the modern streets. Layer upon layer, plague after plague, the dead remain. The city was built and rebuilt upon its dead. Today, the recovered skeletons rest in museum stores. Each one is carefully numbered, measured, and recorded. Their faces are even rebuilt from the skulls. Forensic models bring the long dead back to view. At last, we can look the plague dead directly in the eye. Yet for every bone we find, thousands still wait. They lie packed beneath the pavements you walk, beneath the trains, the towers, the river bridges. An entire buried city of the dead endures. Most will never be dug up or ever even named. They wait in the dark exactly as they fell. Each new shaft sunk into London risks the past. The bones surface when we least expect them, and the count of the buried only ever grows. Some pits were dug in haste near the old marshes. Others lie below what is now a railway platform. Workers once found bones while laying gas pipes. Skulls have tumbled from the walls of cellars. In the city, the dead are never truly far below. Bone analysts measure each skull with calipers. They read age and sex in the shape of the pelvis. Isotopes in the teeth reveal where each person grew. Many of the dead were migrants to the great city. They came seeking honest work and found only a mass grave. Plague struck the crowded poor the hardest of all. Whole households vanished into a single pit. A mother and child are sometimes found embracing. Such finds stop the hardened diggers in stunned silence. Every bone is a person the city tried to forget. Soldiers digging trenches once unearthed them too. Sewer crews break into them by accident even now. The hidden pits surface wherever London digs deep enough. Beneath the offices, the dead lie patiently waiting. The Great Plague never truly left the city. It simply sank down into the ground and waited. It still lies layered beneath the living streets,